Welcome to Energising Life with AKR Fitness. With me today I have Matt.
Hello.
And a very special guest and a woman close to all of our hearts at AKR. We have Mhairi.
Hiya.
AKA Vars. And of course Mike's mum. Welcome to the podcast, Vars.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So when this airs, you've probably well past the 500 session mark at AKR.
Yeah.
You joined us in November 1st, 2016.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about you, what brought you into AKR, and when this airs as well, it'll be the 3rd of January, so it's the start of a new year. Vars, tell us a little bit about you.
So, yeah, I'm Mhairi. I've been a member at AKR for 5 years. I joined in November 2016 because my husband and I had just come back from a trip to Europe in a van. We'd been away for a year. And when I got home, I couldn't really settle down. I couldn't pick up the threads of my life before. So I spoke to Michael and he said I could come down and start working out, and that's what I did.
So that's a point, was that the first time you'd ever set foot in a gym?
Yeah, never been in a gym before. I mean, I had always been an exerciser. I'd always walked a lot. Swimming and cycling were things I enjoyed doing. Mm-hmm. But I'd never been in a gym at all, ever before.
Why do you think that was?
Well, I wouldn't have dreamt that. I mean, I just wouldn't have dreamt to go into a gym. I mean, you know, but I'm in my 60s, so it's just not ever anywhere on my radar. Just wouldn't have dreamt of it.
So right through until the age of 60, you enjoyed being outdoors, cycling, swimming, walking, but the thought of being in a gym was scary. Yeah,
well, it wasn't even just scary, it just wasn't there. It just wasn't a thought, it was just nothing.
Okay.
But when we came home, I went back to swimming. I went like round the pools in town, and I tried to get. But I mean, I used to swim a mile a day, so 64 lengths basically,
mm-hmm.
But I just didn't enjoy it anymore. I don't know, and I needed. I think part of it, we'd spent so long planning the trip, and we'd been and gone and done it and come home, and I needed something else, something different.
Did you feel a bit lost when you came back?
I totally felt lost, mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, when we came home, we didn't move back into our old house right away. We're staying in a flat in a different part of town. And yeah, it was just a bit, you know, I needed something, but I didn't know what I needed, really.
Just before we move on, did you want to come back from travelling?
I did and I didn't. Because we'd been away so long, I wanted to see our grandchildren because I had missed them. One of them had sent me a text about 3 months earlier saying, "Grandma, when are you coming home?" I was like, you know. So I did, but actually when we first came home, the original plan was just to be home for about 6 weeks and go away again. Mm-hmm. But just things happened and it didn't work out that way.
So you came back, which month did you come back in 2016?
August, I think, just the beginning of August.
And you tried all the swimming pools and you felt a bit lost, and Mike had maybe then said, well, why don't you try coming to AKR?
Yeah.
And how did you feel when he said that?
Yeah, I was quite up for it because a few years earlier, when I was in my 50s, and I had noticed that, I mean, I was never a very muscular person, I was never very lean, but I had noticed then that what muscle mass I did have was just disappearing. I wasn't exercising less, but I just was very conscious that my whole body was going to jelly. And at that point, Michael...
I'm sure a lot of people listeners can resonate with that.
Yeah, well, I wasn't really eating anymore or anything. Mm-hmm. I didn't know... I didn't understand that was a natural process. But anyway, Michael was, he was either a student or newly graduated at that point, so I asked him about it, and he said, you know, you're doing all this cardio stuff, but you're not really doing a lot of resistance training. Maybe you should try and fit in some resistance training. But, well, that was never going to happen. You know, you're working full time, my mum was not very well, you have children at home, you know, you're just busy. So So I didn't do it then, but I guess it planted the seed that, at some point I needed to,
So yeah, you've come back, you've stepped through the gym, which you've been working on anyway. You were cleaning and helping Mike set up, so you were familiar with the space and you knew that resistance training was what you needed. However, you probably still felt a little bit intimidated by the whole gym setting. And tell us a little bit about that. How does it, like, for you, how did that feel coming in for your first session?
Well, I think, because I didn't have a strategy session, it was just me and Michael in the gym, and Michael showed me some of these moves, and I did them all, and he said, you move well, and I thought, ooh, that's a good start then. And then, so that was easy. It was just me and him in the gym. There was nobody else there. And then I had already met you a few times, so when I came down to do my first session, the gym was still quite new and there weren't many people, so I think it was just you, myself, and one other AKR member at the time. Yeah. So and she was lovely. She was an older lady, and well, not that older, not as old as me. Sorry, Lisa. So yeah, it was nice. It wasn't like, what I mean by that is digging a hole. What I mean is, it wasn't like some young guy that was all muscly and
And was that your perception of gyms in the past?
Yeah, I think so. Well, yeah, probably. Michael went to the gym, and his pals went to the gym.
Yeah. And you just thought that back then it wasn't for you. Yeah. It wasn't something that you would do.
Yeah, it was never, growing up, it was never a thing really, the gym. It was never on my radar at all, really.
Just before we head into the sort of AKR story, I just want to nip back to you being in your 50s and you almost going through, we could say, the menopause. And was that a difficult time for you?
Yeah, I mean, I often think that we don't really appreciate how much women in their 50s go through. And it's not just the menopause. I think it's the time of your life when the menopause happens. So 10 to 1, you've got maybe a couple of children by then at home, young adults or teenagers. Maybe your parents are still alive but need a lot more help. You maybe worked yourself into a responsible job or a stressful job and all this stuff. And then you get the menopause and then you can't sleep, and so you've all this stuff going on. And then in my case, I was conscious that, there's what's happening to my body. Oh, and your memory goes, and your
sounds
your
like a really fun time.
You're really selling me bars.
Sanity leaves by the back door, or at least they're harder to contact anyway. So yeah, it's just, everything just seems to converge at that point.
So the last thing you can think about is joining a gym.
Yes,
because you're just like overwhelmed by everything else. You're going through this change. Everything's just so stressful. It's a worry, and all you can think about is getting through each day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also at the point when I asked Michael, I just wanted a quick fix. If he had said to me, go and swim 3 more lengths every day, I would have easily done it. but it wasn't a quick fix. It was like starting a whole new thing, and I just wasn't going to do that.
Did you stop smoking around that time as well, or was that before?
Yeah, I probably purposely stopped smoking around that time. I think I was at 49. I stopped smoking on the 17th of April 2006. There you go.
There we go. Pivotal point in your life.
Yeah. But part of that, I thought, well, things are going to get a bit horrible, so I might as well make them worse and stop smoking and get it all over with at once. That was kind of my thinking.
So straight into the 50s with, I'm taking this on. Here we go.
Aye, everything all at once.
Can I just ask a question? How did you feel with quitting smoking? Like, was it easy or was it hard?
Yeah, well, it was interesting because I think it was just the right time. I had tried so often to stop smoking and I never had managed. But that time, it wasn't that bad, really. I found it reasonably easy. I think the smoking ban had come in probably just a month before or something like that. And I couldn't, I used to smoke because it gave me a little bit of space in my working day, so I would go off down to the local cafe near my work and have a coffee and a cigarette, just in a wee quiet corner. And with the smoking ban, you couldn't do that anymore. Suddenly you were outside in a blizzard instead. And
not as attractive then, so.
Yeah, it just didn't. So it wasn't that hard to stop, to be honest.
And thank goodness you did.
Aye, thank goodness. Well, it was amazing, the difference. I felt like my swimming, it was much easier, everything was much easier physically without the nicotine. Yeah.
Well done.
I know.
So let's fast forward again then. Thank you for that little story. And you've come into AKR, you've had your first session, you realise that the gym's not as daunting as you think, and you move well.
Move well.
Yes. So what was the first few years like at AKR for you?
First year especially, I think I missed one session or something. I was super regular. I only came to PT. I came to PT 3 times a week. And I just loved it. I loved everything about it. I loved just learning new things. Every time you come, you learn something new. Even now, 5 years on, you're still learning something new every time. That was important. Also feeling stronger and being able to do stuff, you know. I could do crazy stuff, like I remember we had the grandsons up at Tain and I could run up a skateboard ramp and sit on the top of it with them and stuff like that. Just having energy and strength to do stuff. I loved it.
Is that something before you didn't really have?
I think I always had plenty of energy because, you know, I was swimming a lot and cycling as well, but I didn't have the strength. My strength had really gone quite a bit. And I don't know if that was just in my 50s or if it had gradually built up and I just was aware of it when I was in my 50s. But yeah, I liked feeling strong. It's good.
What is it about it?
Well, I mean, other members know a story I tell about going to skip with a carpet. Do you remember?
I've never heard this story, I don't think.
Well, just about 6 months after I started at the gym, I had this bit of carpet to take to skip. I was up at my mother-in-law's actually, and the skip was up a few steps, and Fraser just sat in the car and let me unload the carpet from the back of the car because he knew fine I could do it now. But the man here at the skip said, "Oh, I'll give you a hand, my dear."
You do not say my dear to bars. Just be like that.
When you've got grey hair, you become my dear. And I'm going, "No, it's fine, I'll manage fine, thank you." So I could just lob this, you know, roll of carpet in the skip. But yeah, I like that. People make judgments based on how you look, and when you've got grey hair and you're an old lady, people don't expect you to be able to.
So surprising people and having
like that.
A sense of independence with the strength that you don't have to have people do things for you.
Yes.
Have you always been like that, pretty independent?
I don't know. Yes, probably I have, but I think when you're getting older, you start thinking about, you know, who's going to look after you when you're old, and you don't want your children, you know, you don't want to be burdening them. So I feel like I've got a responsibility to myself and to my children as well, to look after my health and keep fit and healthy for as long as I can. But my mother was also very much of that mindset, so maybe part of it's a genetic thing. She never liked asking for help. She wouldn't ask people for help if she, you know, and right into her 80s, she was quite stubborn about asking for help. So, but obviously, if you're not strong, you can't do things for yourself. You have to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So coming to the gym in that first 6 months to a year, you were starting to see progression and build strength. You were able to play outdoors with the grandkids and almost show off to them and become the strong grandma. Yeah.
Racing with them and stuff, and monkey bars and flea park.
Amazing. And that's what life's all about, though, really, is it? Being able to do those things for as long as you can.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's amazing that you've kept fit, but you just started strength training coming into your 60s. Like, that's incredible.
I was 59, I think, when I first came here.
So the first year, you're learning, you're feeling strong. you're embracing life again, and it's almost like you found a purpose when coming back from travelling. You've now got something to look forward to.
Something new to learn as well. That's always important. I like to learn new things, so it was just like something new to learn.
Give us an example of something that you've learned in the last couple of years out with AKR.
Out with AKR?
Yeah.
Are you talking about running here?
Well, I don't know.
I did start running after I've been coming here for a year. I started running in January 2018.
Was that a resolution?
No, it wasn't a resolution. It was a sort of, what would I say, a dimly formed plan in my head, probably.
Dimly formed plan?
Yeah, I didn't really plan hugely to start running. I just, because I had managed to do so much here, you know, by the end of the first year, I could deadlift my own body weight by a year.
It's impressive.
AKR.
Yeah. It's
like, you know, so it makes you wonder, well, what else could I do? And so that's what got me started running.
So it triggered hold on, if I can do that, what else can I put my body through physically?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Had you ever done running before?
No, never. I had a riding accident when I used to go horse riding, and I had a riding accident when I was 15, and I had damaged my knee quite badly. I was in crutches for a couple of months with it, and so I always assumed that running just wouldn't be an option for me. So no, I'd never done any running. So
coming into the end of 2017 then, and you were feeling strong in the gym, can you remember the point in which you thought, I'm going to make a diluted plan here to run in 2018?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe December sort of time, but I did look back, because we have this like family tradition that I started when the boys were little, that we all sit down together on Hogmanay and think about our hopes and dreams for the following year, and we write them down. But because I started doing it when the boys were little, I didn't want it to be like resolutions or goals, because I was scared they would feel like they had failed, you know, at the end of the year. So I made it that, you know, just think about the year that's coming and what would you like to happen. And so we used to write down these things.
Was this, sorry to interrupt, was this something that you did when you were little?
No.
Okay.
We started doing it. Oh, it's a long story, but
it's all right. We've got a few hours.
I used to absolutely dread New Year, and then after I got divorced, I thought, well, maybe there's a way to make it more child friendly and more meaningful for the boys.
Do you want to go into why you dreaded it? It's not a genuine question.
I think, yeah. So New Year back in the 80s in Scotland was all about first footing and chicken vol au vents and
I've not heard that in a while.
Cheese and pineapple on sticks stuck into upside down
a party
oranges.
Susie.
Yeah, exactly. So sorry, I have to drink just thinking.
It really seems like you dislike it.
I did, absolutely. I think as much as I dreaded it, my ex-husband loved it. So we would be like first footing into mid-January, this stuff's still going on.
Yay.
And I used to dread it. I used to take down the Christmas tree on New Year's Day. The boys used to slag me off because every New Year's Day I'd be wrapping up my bubbles. But in retrospect, I think it was trying to draw a line under it all and say, right, it's over. We've done it for this year. But, it just went on and on and on. Yeah. So after we got divorced, I just wanted to make it a bit more, well...
Did you want to make it a positive?
Well, just a bit more meaningful, because I like the idea that it's like a new notebook. You know, you've sharpened your pencil and you've turned over and smoothed over the page and you're ready to start writing. So I like that aspect of it, and it always seemed to me a bit of a spoilt beginning if you start with hangover and you're feeling rotten and you've broken all the resolutions that you made.
It's so funny because that's pretty much what it is all about. People are like, yes, Hogmanay, let's go get smashed, and then you wake up on the first and you're like, oh no. And it sounds like you've just come to a point in your life where, well, you hated it anyway, but you are now with the opportunity where you could turn this around and open that new chapter or new notebook and make it more of a positive.
Yeah, and more of a thing that involved all of us, because, you know, the kids are hugely involved at Christmas time, but this first footing and stuff doesn't really involve them. But in my own defence, that's all died out, so I can't have been the only one that didn't like it. I mean, we still celebrate New Year, but not quite in that way anymore.
So yeah, the dreams and aspirations for the year, is that what brought you back to your running? Yeah, so I actually looked back, because Fraser and I still do that together every Hogmanay. We sit down and write our dreams and aspirations. And I looked back for 2018 to see if I had running down there, and I didn't. So it was, it wasn't a definite thing. It was just I wonder if I could. You know, it wasn't as strong as a goal or anything like that. Did you know
I was just curious.
Yeah. Did you know where to start with that curiosity?
No, I hadn't a clue. I just I didn't say anything to anybody either, because, well, I didn't, you know. Because I think if I had said anything to anybody, then the pressure would have been on me to run and make it work, kind of thing. So I never said anything to anyone. I just waited till everyone was back to work in January, and, you know, like first or second week in January, and I just put on my trainers and my leggings and my hoodie. And then I just sat down on the side of my bed and thought, you know, because I was visualising myself running down the street, and I thought, I can't do this. So I sat down. And then I thought, I remembered Michael used to have this thing that he always said that you might as well try because the time will pass anyway. And this kind of went through my head, and I thought, you know what, I'll just give it a go. So I just went bombing out my front door.
Didn't even close it.
Love it.
Bombing. I love that word, bombing. Bombing at the front door. Lasted 5 seconds.
We live in a cul-de-sac, so I did. I only went like 2 minutes down the road, collapsed at the corner shop.
Well, that was fun.
Completely out of breath. But I couldn't go back. It wasn't like I could go in the other end of the street. You know, I had to just go back the way I'd come. So I just.
And why did you not want to do that?
Well, I would have been affronted. You know, a lot of my neighbours are at home all day. I would have just been embarrassed.
You couldn't face going back after just running for 2 minutes?
Yeah, no,
2 minutes of running that you've never done before?
Yeah, but that was not happening. So I walked round the block and went back. I was still only gone about 5 minutes. And then I went home and sat back down on the side of the bed and thought, So that was my first run.
And then?
Well, I wouldn't ever just do it once. I knew I would have to try again. So a couple of days later, I went through the same rigmarole: trainers, leggings, hoodie. But I made myself run a bit further, but only at like a tiny distance. So the road I was running up, stupidly enough, was there's like trees and lampposts and things. So I was only going. I decided I would go to the first lamppost past the corner shop, and that's what I did. Walked round the block, back home again.
Amazing. So each time you went out, you aimed just a little bit further. Yeah. Nothing ridiculous.
No.
But you went to the corner shop, walked round the block, back home. Yeah. Then you went to the second lamppost.
Yeah.
Back home. And then every other run.
A bit further. And I did try and not go more distance, because I thought, you know, I could easily run 4 lampposts or something, but then I might be too tired to do it the next time. Mm-hmm. So I was very, very measured about what I did.
I think there's a lot of learning in that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, just a tiny bit.
Just keep but you did like 1% more each day, and just kept doing that.
Yeah.
Until a point where, what was a milestone for you?
Just after a couple of weeks, I Googled introduction to running or something, and I realised that it would probably be better if I went 3 times a week. So I did start going 3 times a week, and I remember one Sunday morning, I had measured out like a 5k route for myself. And one Sunday morning, I was running through the grounds of a hospital that was more than, or just about maybe halfway around. And I thought, you know what, I can do this. And so I did. That day, I think I managed the 5k.
Yes. How did that feel?
Yeah, it was good. It was, it was good.
And from how long from that day of running to the corner shop right until that 5k, what was that time period?
So I was really surprised because I looked this up. After I'd done that 5k, then I signed up for parkrun. And I thought my first park run had been at the beginning of March, but it wasn't. It was like the 10th of February. So it was much quicker than my memory tells me it was, yeah. So I did that Hazelhead park run.
So consistently showing up 3 days a week to run and get a little bit better each time, you were able to then come 6 or 7 weeks later, do a 5k park run at Hazelhead with other people. Yeah.
But I don't think I would have been able to do it like that if I hadn't been strong from being at AKR. I'm sure my body was stronger and it was able to deal with the running. But yeah, and I did that park run. And the Hazelhead park run's like uphill. First it's out and back, so you go first 2.5 k's uphill and then second it's back down.
And then from there?
That day, my first park run, I messaged my my results. and he phoned me up and he said, "Mum, did you just do park run?" Yes.
So did Mike not know that you had run?
I think he knew I was running, but I hadn't said I was going to do park run or, because he was busy down here kind of thing, yeah. So from there...
So you were over the moon with it?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Well, from there I started building up the distance, and I was able then to run in the forests at Hazelhead and
that's an enjoyment of yours, is it?
Yeah,
in the forest,
in the countryside. I love it. So I just built it up, and it wasn't, I don't think, too long. Maybe by April I could do 10k. So it was
another milestone.
Yeah, it's probably about then. And then the advert for the Crathis Half Marathon came up my Facebook feed, and I thought, I wonder if I can do this. So I signed up for that. Yeah.
And when was that?
I signed up for it, I think about the April time, and it was in September.
Okay.
So then I had to properly start. I made a spreadsheet.
Of course you did. Mike, is this your mum?
So I made a spreadsheet, and I looked up online how to train for a half marathon. So and I put in the date of the Crathis half. I think it was September 18th or something like that, and I just worked backwards. My distances and that.
Smart goal setting, that.
Yeah. Then I spoke to Adam and Jace down here. They were great, giving me tips for running, and got problems with my nutrition, which
I remember this story.
Do you want to tell that story?
So yeah, I was getting, I don't know, was it summertime maybe?
You'd really upped your miles.
And I was getting headaches, and my vision was a bit jumpy and blurry, and so went to the doctor, and they did all the blood tests and everything, and couldn't find anything wrong. And I mentioned to Lynsey down here one day, just, I'm getting these awful headaches every day after I've run. My vision's bad. You're not eating enough carbs, she said. I was like, what? Nobody ever in my whole life had ever told me I wasn't eating enough.
I think my words were, Vars, you need to pummel the carbs.
So here was a license to eat bagels for
yes.
Breakfast, lunch and dinner.
So that was the start of my bagel habit. Oh, thanks for Lynsey. But right enough.
The bagel habit, I love it.
It was right enough. Once I started eating more, the headaches and the blurred vision went. So.
And your performance was probably better.
Yeah. Yeah, picked up.
So we've now got to the half marathon, first half marathon in the first year of starting running. It's 60. Can we just put that in there? How did it feel to cross that finish line?
Knackering. No, it was amazing. But I knew before I ran it that I could do it because we had done the route 3 times. Fraser, my poor long-suffering husband came. He took his bike and cycled the route because it was just mostly on road. There was a wee bit off-road, but not much. So he cycled and I ran. Not that I could run as fast as he could cycle, like, but it worked.
It's a good pace.
Yeah, we did it. I think it was the 3rd time I managed the whole route. I didn't attempt the whole route right away. I just so I knew on the day I could do the run. So it was just it was good. I asked the lady when she came in my bed, "Can I stop running now?" And she's going, "Stop." I'll go away and collapse in the side there. So it was good.
So that was September 2018.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, and from that moment, did you have aspirations to run further? Did you want to run another one? What was your sort of you'd hit your goal of the half marathon that you set yourself so well, and you broke down and how often you should be running, how hard you should be running. You've achieved it. Did you get to a point that, okay, I'm done with running?
No.
You had the bug?
Well, I kind of did, but training for the half marathon at Crathis opened up a whole new dimension that I hadn't expected. So when we came back from Europe, we still kept our van, obviously. We made a thing that we went away once a month. We try and go away in the van. So when I was training for the Crathis half marathon, I realised, if we're away for the weekend, I still need to run because I can't just miss out my runs. So I got into the habit of just running wherever we were. It's just amazing, I still remember the first one. We were April sort of time, so early spring, and we were at Culloden. And I don't know if you know that viaduct at Culloden. Yeah. There's a beautiful Victorian viaduct at Culloden. And so I got up at the crack of dawn and the sun was just rising. This Culloden viaduct's lit up, God. Bright red with
like your face right now, you're loving it. You get we're living it with you.
Yeah, it was just stunning. And it's early morning, crisp spring morning, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. So I think we went from there to Loch Aneilan in Rothiemurchus, and again it's a loch I know. I used to been canoeing on it as a child with my dad. I got up in the morning and just run round the loch. It's only like 5k or something. It wasn't a long run round the loch, but Scotland's so beautiful. So now wherever we go in the van, I just get up and run. I run on beaches. I think I've run on beaches
all the
from Fife up to Tane and across to Camasdarich on the west coast and Mull, and
it's really sort of become a part of who you are, the running.
Yeah. And
being outdoors, and you said about your dad there and being with the canoe. Does it take you back to when you were younger?
Yeah, I think he's really been in my head because I did the Aviemore half marathon last month, is it? So when we were kids, my dad really, when I think about it, was way ahead of his time. So he obviously taught us to swim and cycle, but he also built a 2-man canoe out of wood and canvas. And so we used to go on holiday. And I think about it, it's ridiculous, but my mum would never ask anyone to look after pets or anything like that. So, and my grandma lived with us when I was growing up. So we would go on a holiday, my dad driving the car, my mum in the front. We had 2 collies, so they were at the passenger side on her feet.
How big is this car? A Mini.
I think it was a Hillman Minx.
Oh.
So you can look them up. They're sort of a family car, not huge though.
Yeah.
My grandma sat in the middle of the back seat because me and my brother would fight otherwise. So she was always in the middle.
So we've got mum, dad, 2 collies, you and your brother, grandma in the middle.
Budgie on her knee.
Budgie?
We had a budgie called Bimbo, so he was in the cage on her knee. Caravan on the back and canoe on the roof, and that was us.
Amazing. So
it was good. But and I mean, in the 1960s, there weren't that many people went to like Loch Warlick. I mean, there was a lot of skiers, and it was popular for hill walkers, but not like it is now. So we'd just go there for like 3 weeks in the summertime, and yeah, I loved it. We'd be canoeing and all sorts. It was great. A lot of walking, which we moaned about at the time, but you know, it was lovely. So yeah, it's still one of my favourite places to go to this day, and it's still like one of my favourite places to run. There's loads of trails you can run there, and yeah, so doing the half marathon at Aviemore the other week, I was really like, well, my dad would so like to see me.
Amazing. Did you feel like he was with you?
Yeah,
that's so nice.
Yeah, my brother even emailed me and said, Dad would have been super proud of you today.
Oh, that's so nice. Amazing. So that was last month, Bars, but you had a hell of a journey to get to that half marathon again. Let's just go back and reflect on that, the last year and a half, 2 years, and sort of what you've went through, setbacks and injuries and things.
I think the worst was my foot, so that was December last year. So I did a lot of running last year, I think. Well, a lot for me. I was up to maybe doing 60 kilometres
Was
a
that
week.
over lockdown?
Well, just generally throughout the year, I was probably running about 60 kilometres a week. And I had started using running as transport, so I would run down to the gym as well and run home again after my session, that kind of thing, because I can come along the older railway line. So in December of last year, my left foot started playing up. I thought, what's this? It's not good. But then we had the lockdown on Boxing Day, and I used to always be barefoot, but suddenly I couldn't walk barefoot anymore, and so I thought, well, I'll cut back my running. So I halved it, and then by New Year I wasn't doing any running.
How did that feel for you?
Yeah, I was cracking up. I couldn't even walk any great distance. I was really cracking up. And Michael was saying, you know, you should go and see Amy Mac. And I'm like, it'll get better. But I did. I got in touch with Amy and had a Zoom session with her, and then she said to come in and see her. And with a bit of clever detective work on her part, because I hadn't thought to mention it, Amy realised it was related to an accident I'd had a couple of years earlier where I had been crushed between a car and a van.
Did you not know that, Matt?
No, you didn't say that to me.
So this accident had damaged, I don't know, ligaments or tendons in my calf, and they affect how your foot is supported. So it was really great for me to know it wasn't a running injury. I didn't want it to be a running injury, so I was really quite happy to find out.
Were you scared that you wouldn't have been able to go back to having that sense of freedom with your running and enjoying it again?
Yeah, and I already missed it, and it's become so much a part of when we're away in the van. You know, I get up and quietly try and leave and not disturb Fraser's long life, go for my run. I couldn't imagine life without running. So, however, Amy gave me exercises to do, which I did religiously, and eventually the wonderful day came in March when she said, okay, try, but just walk, run, you know, take it easy and things. So that was fine. I got back, and then I think I was running home down the pitches at Hazelhead, and my left knee just was something wrong with it. So I don't know whether to go back and see the podiatrist or should I see
the physio,
who's also called Amy, confusingly enough. So yeah, I went to see the physio and Amy, and she said, I don't think you need to stop running for this. So that was you know, that was
Did
great.
you think, oh no, here we go again, another 3 months of not being able to, cracking up in lockdown?
Yeah. But so, you just have to start over again, you know, you just have to start building it up slowly.
Sit on the bed, put your trainers on, put your hoodie on.
Not quite as bad as that, but
how did you overcome that though? Because a lot of people will get an injury and they will just, like me included, will just go inward and be so frustrated and just get so annoyed with the world. And, how did you manage to come out of that sort of setback and injuries with taking away something that you've loved so much?
I tried hard to find something that I could do that was still going to let me rest my foot. I had been quite keen on skipping. I had weighted skipping ropes and stuff, but I couldn't do that either. I bought a hula hoop, so I started doing this weighted hula hooping, and then with lockdown, a kind person lent me a bike. A static bike, a state-of-the-art static bike. So I started cycling quite a lot.
So you had that focus?
Yeah. I'm not really motivated to sit on a bike and cycle in the house, to be honest, but I used the MyZone workouts. So they're quite good because you're...
The MyZone match?
MyZone match, yeah.
Yeah, the one, where you have to stay.
So do you think if you didn't have that, it would have been like...
Oh yeah, it would have been. I tried.
Torturous.
I tried it a few times, and I said to Michael, look, I don't think I'm going to use this bike. And he said, why don't you have a look at these? So I had a go at them. And because that's a bit of a competition, because you've got to...
So you like a bit of competition?
Well, with yourself. You have to get your heart rate at the different stages. So that kept me going, and what I found was the cycling helped my calf as well. I think my foot was never so sore after I'd cycled. So even now, if it still gets sore sometimes, but I would go out my bike. Well, if it's nice weather, I would go out my bike.
So it sounds like you couldn't run because of injury, but you worked around it and you were able to keep your fitness up and sort of rehab your leg through choosing cycling.
Yes, I would say that's right.
And then what sort of time of the year did you start to get back into your running again?
It was March I started the walk running with a sore foot, and then but I was very slow building up. But I had signed up for the Aviemore half the year before, but it hadn't run. So they had rolled over all the entries. So I knew I had this. And the thing is, the Aviemore half was another member had told me a couple of years ago that it was quite a good one to do. You should give it a go because it's quite downhill, etc., etc. But this year they didn't get permission to run into Aviemore. So they rejigged the whole route. So it was all off-road, which was perfect for me, but also it was a very hilly route. It was a very hilly route.
So just to sort of go back, from the determination that you must have shown from getting off that bike in March, being able to start slow and steady, start to get back into your form of running again, and then you've got until September, October. Like, that is a short period of time from coming back from injury. Like, was it the slow and steady that got you through, or at what point did you think, you know what, I've got this, I can do this?
No, I think after I was injured, I was always worried that if I pushed too far, I'm just going to end up with another injury. So at the back of my mind, it was a bit, I had to be careful. So I don't think I ever got to the point where I thought, I've got this. But the last couple of long runs I did, the last long run in particular was 25k, so I was trying to stretch the distance, so I knew I could go a bit further than the 21. But I fell as well, so that was in the deep dark forest. took a flyer and rolled over and over and grazed myself. That was my second last long run. Yes, I'm very clumsy. that was a thing actually. I had fallen twice just in the 6 weeks leading up to the Aviemore half, and I lost faith in my shoes. I had read that the shoes that I was using. But when I turned up for the Aviemore half, there was 2 other reachers there, and they were both wearing the same shoes. I thought, it's not the shoes. It's just me.
Did that give you the little boost that you needed?
Yeah.
If they've got those shoes on, I can do this. I'll be able to complete it.
Yeah. So thanks to Mhairi and Jill for the shoes.
Amazing. So you managed to do that, the half that was so important to you and your dad. And that's, what, a month ago?
Yes. Last month. Jinx, last month.
So like I say, as this is airing on the 3rd of January 2022, what's next for Vars?
Oh, well, during lockdown, when I was running, I bumped into, well, I didn't literally bump into her, but I met another reacher in the woods, and she was quite into her wild swimming. So, she was very enthusiastic, so I was thinking, Jinx, I quite fancy this. So last month, I think it was, we were in Banff, and I ran from Banff to White Hills and back again, in this beautiful piece of coast there, and it's not a long run, maybe 7k, but I was sweating. It wasn't that hot of a day, but I was sweating, and I thought, you know what, I'm going in the sea when I get back. And I did. I didn't swim, but I was like jumping in the waves and playing like a 5-year-old. So yeah, I quite fancy that.
Yeah?
I quite fancy giving that a go, yeah.
How are you going to plan that out with a spreadsheet?
No, no. I need to go back to no spreadsheet. I need to
back to your youth.
Yeah. I need to just. But it would be a good way to finish a run. Yeah. Good for you as well.
I mean, the only run that I did last year. I did, I think it was just under a 10k right along Lovers Walk at Cooter, all the way out and then back in, and it was such a beautiful morning that I was like right in the river, and it was such a nice feeling. Saying that, I've never done it again, but it's amazing to finish a run. But we've got so many reachers that go down to the Fitty and they do it in the morning for sunrise and things like that. So if any of you are listening, Vars is up for it. Reach out to Vars. Is there anything else that we've not went over today that you'd like to touch on?
No, I don't think so.
You sure?
Yes,
Matt?
certain.
No, I just want to say that it's inspiring to see you still showing up to your sessions every day, getting stronger and doing all the stuff that you just said over the last 50 minutes or so. And I think you're the definition of age is only a number.
Thank you.
Yeah. I would wholeheartedly agree with that. I think you're an inspiration to so many other people, and life does not need to stop at 60.
No, definitely
It definitely does not. So get your running trainers on, put your Dukers on, and go for a swim in the sea. Vars, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast, so thank you.
Thank you for having me.
As always, thank you for listening. If you want to learn more, please reach out to us or jump onto the website akrfitness.com, and we will see you in the next episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.